Welcome, Kneepayne.
Hello.
Hi. Glad you
How you
could
doing?
join us tonight.
No problem.
Yeah, I've seen your interview with the DA last month on the 22nd, and you showed him that you presented him with one of the toys from the GI Joe franchise, and you began discussing everything that went wrong with the films back then. So that's what drew my interest into sitting up tonight's panel to discuss the brand and why it's not resonating well with audiences like it did in the old days.
Yeah, I mean, I never really stopped to think about it. Why it isn't. Actually, I think you could speculate on a lot of things. Are we waiting for more people to jump on, or are we just getting started?
I am expecting others to join. Yeah, yeah, we got. It's always good to have others join us to share us what to provide us with what they know about the brand as much as us. Because really, we all got to have some some knowledge to provide good quality discussion tonight.
Yeah, let's see what comes on. No, I think a lot of things. I don't think the movies, the live action movies they did, helped revitalize the franchise in younger generations. I mean, they were, if that was the first exposure that millennials and Gen Z had to GI Joe, that's not a very good starting point. I don't see why anyone would want to know more
Tell
about
me
GI
about it.
Joe.
Yeah, tell me about it. I have seen I've seen both live action films from 2009 and 2013. I mean, some of it was kind of off the mark, you know, with with some of the dialogue and some of the acting and how the script to the both movies were written. Yeah, it was kind of weird too when I went and saw Rise of Cobra back in 2009. I kind of
Mm,
find it awkward, with the idea of making Baroness and Cobra Commander people that Duke himself was close with back in his back in his early days before he joined the military and became a part of GI Joe. That I found was very awkward. So same with everything else that made it look so comic-y in the film. Old school comic-y and not today kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think one of the first things I think they did wrong was it didn't look like GI Joe.
Nope.
I would, if they were to do this right, whenever you start out a film, you start with your concept art. You have your concept artists that just do designs. You should be able to take a piece of concept art and show it to someone who's Gen X, obviously, and say, "Do you recognize this?" If they do not recognize it, the look is wrong. GI
Uh-huh.
Joe wasn't military. It's one of the big things is they made it like this pseudo special forces military, right? They had Hummers, they had like a lot of the common vehicles we had. I mean, they did some CGI vehicles. What they didn't do is they didn't have GI Joe's vehicles, and the problem with that was because they made the GI Joe movies in modern times. And to me, a GI Joe movie needs to take place when GI Joe was popular. That way, the designs and everything would make sense. It would fit.
Yeah. Popular such as the 90s or the late 80s after seeing the original animated series come out.
Yes, yeah. Because if you tried to like use those uniforms and like aircraft designs, which I thought were really unique, especially Cobras, they're not going to. I don't think designs would look good in like a modern movie that's like, supposed to take place like here in 2024, right? It just wouldn't
Yeah.
work. So it'd have to look 80s. Roll it back. Also, too, I think little things too, like why I think it would need to take place back then is what would not feel GI Joe is if I saw Zartan take out an iPhone, text
Yeah.
somebody.
Ah, yeah. And we got another guest joining us,
Yeah.
someone I close with online. Welcome,
Hi
Geek.
guys,
Hi.
Hi, glad you could join us, Geek Defense Initiatives. Neepin and I could
thank
use
you.
all the company and knowledge we could, and all the help we can get with breaking down on GI Joe.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
First, I think I know stuff about G.I. Joe. It's one of my favorite comics, but I will say that I already sure I don't know so I don't think I know so much as the distinguished gentleman right here.
I don't know
Yeah.
that much. It's just I think it's just basics.
Well,
Because I mean, there's a lot. Like honestly, you show me a lot of characters, I wouldn't be able to name them. But I could tell you. I think I could tell you, being a kid growing up with GI Joe, being a military vet, also why I don't think the movies worked, why it doesn't play in the modern times. Like you try to do a modern movie of GI Joe, why it would have to take place, in my opinion, in the 80s.
Hmm.
yeah, but an alternate 80s. I don't think our 80s would work.
Oh
I
no,
think.
I mean, if you think like Watchmen, movie Watchmen, right? You could tell
Oh
that
yeah,
took place, right? But you could also tell that wasn't historical.
yeah. It's not our 80s exactly. I
Yeah.
was actually thinking more into the 80s shown in MGS5 in the sense of all that weird sci-fi technology, but
Mm-hmm.
also having the distinguished 80s aesthetic in the same place. So like, it's both 80s, but it's also near future. And it's like
Hmm.
near future by an 80s standpoint. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
weird. Hmm.
But that's the point. Like, and but I will go a counter argument for a GI Joe. Like, I think a modern update of GI Joe can work, but I think they should not go for the cartoon route. I think they should go more for the comic style
Yeah.
for a couple of reasons. I'm not a fan of the Sunbound cartoons. I'm not a fan of those Saturday morning cartoons at all.
Hmm.
I am, however, a fan of the comics, and I think that GI Joe should have a more. I'm part of the. There are two like branches of serious J. Joe. Those that want the sci-fi stuff and those that prefer the more grounded stuff. With Larry Hama's run had both, right? But he leaned more toward the serious stuff. So personally, and second, first, my view is actually that there is a great J. Joe adaptation
Hmm.
outside the comics, and but it's not J. Joe. It's like I don't think if you are familiar with shooters, FPSs from the 2010s.
Some.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Modern Warfare 2 and especially Black Ops 2.
Okay. I kind of know. I haven't played them, but
I think they are the best example of how you should do a JJ adaptation. Go for that style, like that mix between gritty military thriller with blockbuster epic, like
Hmm.
stunts and action, like a
Yeah.
mix between those two styles, and then bring on some of the characters. Like take Roman Menendez from Black Ops 2. He's basically the Cobra Commander, just a lot
Yeah.
smarter,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah. Raul Menendez was a great villain in that movie.
Yeah,
Same actor died.
but yeah, I heard. I'm on him as well. Same close to the actor who played Max Payne, by the way.
Mm.
But the point I'm trying to make is that that's the thing I think most adaptations take out of the Cobra Commander that I loved in the original run, and that it makes sense.
Hmm.
Like it makes sense. It's just that when you take him, pick him apart, he realizes he's just a petty tyrant. But when you take his arguments at face value, he makes sense. He has arguments. He has points. The whole reason he became a terrorist is because he had PTSD after Vietnam and blamed the US government and the superpowers of the Cold War for the misfortune that it brought him. But of course, he was trying to scapegoat his own fault of not getting PTSD, but not doing something about it, and
Yeah.
trying
mm,
to excuse the fact he didn't know how to control his own PTSD. He didn't know how to seek help, and he was too proud to seek help and all that stuff.
Hmm. And
So I
speaking,
think it is an interesting factor.
yeah, and speaking of Cobra Commander, that also, yeah, Cobra Commander in the comics is said to be said to have a more mysterious identity. Correct?
Kind of. We know who he is. He was a
mm-hmm.
used car salesman that I believe he volunteered or was drafted. I don't remember which was. Haven't read the entire run. I have very little, but I know the information. There was that went fight in Vietnam, came back, had PTSD, and one day he was driving the car with his beloved brother next to him, and then he had a flashback, and he crashed the car,
Wow.
and he kind of blamed the government for the death of his brother indirectly. So he decided to when he started to amass a fortune to challenge it some way, and then he started growing power hungry, and then he decided he was going to become a dictator, basically.
Dictators don't like it.
Yeah, and he kind of rallied around the third world and disenfranchised from both superpowers to engage on his empire. That's kind of his jig.
That's the
That
thing
does
is a lot of the characters, especially the villains. I think if you want to have a movie like that, the villains they need to feel like villains, and that's what they didn't feel like villains in the movie.
No, they didn't.
No, I mean they were just like they were the bad guys, but they weren't villains like you legit were scared of them, like you're concerned about like their motivations and how sinister they were, and that's why I think what they missed out on was building these characters out. You know, talking about their backstory. It kind of made them clownish in a way.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
I actually was a fan of the original movies as a kid, the movies as a kid. But when I started, like, and I still think they have this merit, especially the first one, due to the director. I like the director. Not my thing. I prefer again the more grounded, realistic style. But I still have some respect to it, But still,
yeah. You okay?
sorry, my dad just bothered me.
Oh.
Just walking in. Sorry.
Yeah. Right here is Duke. You know, the main character.
I wouldn't. Can I just intervene a moment? I
Oh,
wouldn't
sure.
say he's fully main character because, like, Hawk is more of a main character, especially in the earlier run. But he was the commander. Duke was kind of brought in to replace Hawk in the sense that Hawk was becoming a general and was going less to the field in the comics, so they brought in Duke to replace him.
Oh.
But eventually they became more different. Duke's more the heart of the operation, while Hawk was more the brains. Pick the comic version, you can understand.
Yeah.
They're especially
General Hawk's
different
the
in
leader.
they are in the IDW run.
Mm-hmm.
They are especially different because they reimagined Hawk as a more unscrupulous figure, right?
Oh. Yeah. And Duke, well, he's been quite popular in many G.I. Joe, comics as well as the shows. But in the movies, well, when they cast Channing Tatum, wow. I mean, does this look anything much like the Duke we know from most of the lore?
No,
not just
I like him as an actor. I think he probably doesn't have a. He actually wanted to play Snake Eyes, but his agent didn't let him
Yeah.
because of the whole no voice, no face thing.
And speaking of Snake Eyes, yeah, that brings me to another thing. He's one of the few characters I'm quite familiar with most. In fact, I'm sure we all know him best as well.
Yeah, he had many versions, right? Most of them it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was played by Ray Park, the actor who portrayed Darth Maul in Phantom Menace.
Oh, didn't know that. I like
Yeah.
him. Oh,
Yep.
it fits because both are mute characters, right?
Yeah.
And both have the martial arts skills.
And he doesn't mind being covered up.
Not at all.
He doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, Snake Eyes, I'm sure everyone is very familiar with the most, because of his uniform, his style and stuff. I mean, he's got quite a more dramatic backstory than most characters, if you ask me. Especially when it comes to Storm Shadow,
Yeah.
is right.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I think Channing
Storm.
Tatum was like, I liked him, but yeah, I think it's one thing is getting the actors right, and it feels like the only one they really got right was for Snake Eyes, which ironically enough is the one you can't identify.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ray Park
but
is quite an expert at stunts.
personally, if you count Retaliation, I do think Bruce Willis was a good pick for Colton. Just didn't know what to do with him.
No, he
Yeah,
didn't.
So solely because of the meta element, because like Joe Conte is meant to be this legendary special forces operative from before, from the previous wars, and Bruce Willis is a legendary action hero in
Yeah, he was
Hollywood.
legendary.
So
Yeah, he was legendary for his role. First, he was put on the map for being legendary just for playing John McClane from Die Hard,
among other
which I did.
roles.
Yeah, including Fifth Element, which we're supposed to do a watch along with our friends at HMD
But
sometime later this week.
and they did it right too when when they went in his house and they said we need your help, and he starts basically opening up all the secret cabinets for with all the guns, right? So I think that helped it work. I think if they hadn't done something like that, I don't know. As much as I like Bruce Willis, they at least delivered. They set that up correctly, so it felt like he was always a soldier.
Yeah, and at least
yeah,
he was able to kick some ass in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
he even took down one of Zartan's thugs. Yeah, even if
By the way, even if it was completely out of character, I really did like what the actor who plays Artan did in Retaliation. Just the whole I having a blast with this movie. Like those actually, the guys loving be doing the bad guy in the cliche bad guy stuff. So
yeah,
that was appreciated.
Zartan. He, he's known for taking on various disguises in the lore of GI Joe.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, but he's not only a popular member of Cobra, but he's also the leader of his own gang. The
Hmm.
Dreadnoks. Yep, you see them guy here, Dreadnoks.
Yeah.
Cob-
Anyway, I think our friend wanted to talk.
sure, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't. No, I'm good.
No, anyway.
No.
Anyway,
Uh, just one
yeah.
minute. Just a real life observation. I just read this once and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Operation Neptune Spear, the Bin Laden raid. It was literally, you describe it, it sounds like a J. Joe mission.
Uh-huh.
Just think about it.
You mean the raid in Pakistan?
Yeah. What you guys think? They even brought a dog along, and the EOD guy had made some margins. It's literally a J. Joe op.
Oh my.
Kind of makes it even more awesome. And for extra bonus, in the comics, Joe Colton has a long beard, right? As
Oh
far as I know, he
yeah.
has a beard.
Mhm.
The founder of Death Group, the unit that went after Bin Laden, has a beard.
Uh-huh.
So that's another fun fact, kind of.
Yeah, kind of like this.
I don't know. In the original, I think he doesn't have a beard in that one, but still, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, kind of do some of this, but hey, at least, yeah. But there are also other characters that Retaliation seemed to have exempted from returning from the first movie, and one of them
Oh,
is one of
most
the
of
most.
it is
Yeah, one
annoying.
of them. Yeah, one of them's the most iconic. One of the most iconic of the franchise, and that would be Scarlet.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off for a hot take. I know it's iconic, but I don't like the whole orange uniform. I think it can go too far
Hmm.
against the whole military thing. They're supposed to be military, but she wears an orange suit, which really doesn't fit anywhere on a combat zone.
Uh-huh.
But I get what they did. It was a toy, but like, I think adaptations could. I think the movie actually that was a good idea, taking off the orange suit. but still, I get why I didn't like.
Yeah, most of the Joes were in black, kind of like
The,
Snake Eyes.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I think if they had done it for a modern movie, what they could have done is shifted the colors a little bit so they could play like a little bit of homage. So if it was like a desert based operation, instead of being orange, it could be like a tan color, but still have kind of the
True.
same design. And so you'd have a little bit of that throwback. But that's based on how they could write a new movie if they did one without screwing it up. I was looking at like potential like actors, like who do I think could play Duke, and I wonder if like Alan Ritchson would be because he's got kind of that huge physical presence,
Uh-huh.
but he's not to me. Sorry, kind of he doesn't act like The Rock. I think he can actually speak with like clarity.
Yeah, true.
Like The Rock. Rock. I don't know. I don't know The Rock personally, obviously, but Alan Richardson always seems to have that nice balance of like he can speak clear and professionally, but still be physically intimidating. So you can see him as like a military leader type.
Yeah, and if depending, I don't remember a lot about the original comic. Didn't get to that point yet, but I do think that also if they have because he also has some range, at least because in Ministry he plays kind of the new movie he's using Henry Cavill as well.
Mhm.
Ministry, he's kind of he plays a more charismatic like I'm a nice guy but I kill people stuff.
Oh my
Yeah, I
goodness.
think he's got more range than Rock, so I think he could, someone like him, I think would be a better example. And I mean, I think Channing Tatum has range; he just wasn't the right
Yeah.
character in general.
Now, another idea I liked from those movies, I think it was a good one, but I don't think it was well handled, but I think it was a good one, and that is variating a little bit on the nationalities. I think they went too far on that, but I do like the idea of him having like Joe's being more of international force solely because the rest of NATO doesn't have a JJ equivalent. So I do like how they could have the sort of other nationalities in there, just because the October Guard from the comics is a more international force from Warsaw Pact nations. So
Yeah.
to do the equivalent, they could have the other rest of the J. Joes be from many NATO countries, but led primarily by Americans, which would represent NATO's capabilities.
Uh-huh.
America has the biggest power, but other nations also have their role in there.
Including Russia, China, India, North Korea.
No, in NATO, not the Warsaw Pact. That's
Oh,
different.
right.
Warsaw Pact is Russia. China, Korea were neutral, were aligned. North Korea was aligned more with the Russians, but they are also kind of doing their thing over there, and they try to appease as well the Chinese, which towards the end of the Cold War, and especially the 80s, were more aligned with the Americans actually because they both hated the Russians. So there's that.
Uh-huh.
Not like they weren't winning any friendship contest, just like we hate the Russians, you hate the Russians, so let's hate the Russians together, basically.
Yeah. Our leaders were
But
just
yeah,
anyway. Speaking of Asia, do you think they got it wrong with Storm Shadow's casting in the first two live-action G.I. Joe films, or do you think it was all right?
I
Beyond,
like the actor. Again, I like the actor. I think he did a good job with the material he was given.
yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Yeah, Beyond
I
Lee
think all the actors made a great job with the material they were given. If they were given better material, they could have done a better job.
yeah,
The actor who played Zartan in the in the original, the first one, who plays Zartan in his birth form before he becomes a shapeshifter. Yes, that one. I think he would be great in G.I. Joe movie. Mainly because he does has that military vibe, a proper G.I. Joe movie. Because he does have that military, like I am military of appearance, more towards the bad guy end, but still.
Mm-hmm. Arnold Vosloo, aka the Mummy. Yep.
And the Colonel in Blood Diamond, which was my influence in thinking he could do a good job in J. Joe.
Yeah.
But an actor I would pay to see playing the Cobra Commander.
Oh,
Look up, just cut everything. Just write. Uh, just first remove the title right there. Can you just show? Can you just tell you?
oh.
Look up Joku Khan. He's never in a J. Joe movie, but I think he would make a great Cobra Commander. Don't know if he would take the role because he makes primarily indie movies nowadays. But look, Joku Khan.
I sorry, I got the fan on. But oh, hang on. I'm gonna need to.
Let's just send a picture to you then.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
then you share with us.
Sure. Yeah. Kind of hard to hear with my air conditioner on. It's
Let me
still.
just look it up here. A good picture of him in the role. But then the idea is that he plays in when he's on with the uniform, and then we get another actor play him younger in Vietnam in that stuff because he would never play. He's too old to play Cobra Commander like in without the mask, in the
Yeah.
flashbacks. Because I want to have the flash. I think they should have the flashbacks to his origin story. I
Yeah.
think we could just have him like
Hmm.
Cobra Commander. I think it would be interesting to have
Yeah.
in the full stuff, But still.
Yeah.
Let's look it up here. Let me send you. He's actually, the name of my channel, Geek Defense Initiative.
Yes. Let me take a look. Ah, this guy.
Well, he plays the arch nemesis in the game of the GDI of the game GDI.
Huh. I
His
see.
faction Nod is actually based on Cobra
Huh.
from Command and Conquer.
Huh.
He's actually, but he's more of akin to a like evil, like semi-evil messiah rather than he's more of a Paul Atreides than
Oh, Joe Coogan.
yeah. He's more akin to a Paul Atreides than the character he plays. A mix of the two. He has the messianic charisma of Paul Atreides, but in the Hawaiian, the Messiah thing, the Messiah complex. But he also have the charisma and the general dominion of Cobra Command, besides the faction.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
great actor, by the way. Fun
Yeah.
fact: the late James Earl Jones played his nemesis in the second game,
Oh,
and Joe Kukan still steals the show. The co-acted, so he was really good.
yeah. Bet he was. Yep. I'm pretty sure he was. Speaking of Cobra Commander, you think they got him right in the second live action film
The
with
design, if I did a Cobra Commander, I would make his design kind of a mix between a military, like the whole military thing, of course, the whole fascist thing, but I also make a somewhat insurgent look to him together, giving a ski mask or something as he uses on the speeches or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
justify that his face is formed to justify the fact he has a helmet on, or he's
Yeah.
a dictator. He should be showing his face, but still,
Yeah.
the
They replaced.
whole giving a more insurgent look to his appearance, so that we can have him as
Mhm.
can identify him more as a terrorist rather than a generic evil overlord.
Yeah, they replaced Joseph Gordon-Levitt with someone called Luke Bracey for
Yeah,
retaliation.
I
Anyway,
guess because the whole no face thing. Back then,
Mhm.
it wasn't as popular as it is today with the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Give Disney a credit. At least that they got right.
Yep.
Everything else they got wrong, but that they got a good idea with that one.
Yeah. Quite
Anyway,
blazing. Yeah. There's yeah. There's also other members, popular members.
if I stealing the subject, you guys can talk some more. I'm just gonna shut up for a while
Okay.
because of what's her name, sir? Sorry, I
Oh,
forgot.
Baroness. I was going to.
No, I talking to our friend here. I forgot. I didn't catch his name.
Oh,
Just Kneepayne.
yeah. Kneepayne.
All right, Kneepayne. Is that it?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
So, Kneepayne, what's your views on setting? Because we agree it should be the 80s, right? But
It could be the 80s. If you made it modern day, I think so it wasn't so much bad they did modern day. They made it
too modern.
it's too modern, too technical, right? I think if it's like what you talk about, like kind of gritty, like if you make them like true special forces, here's the thing: the military. This is why we hate seeing the stuff from the military. Is like the equipment isn't that nice.
It isn't. It is. It definitely isn't. I also think that.
Yeah, the equipment, everything was way too advanced, way too technical for what any soldiers work with.
Yeah. Sorry.
You got to dumb it. You got to simplify it. Like if you want to make it modern. Otherwise, yeah, if you just go back to the 80s, do the old designs, which is going to be expensive for a movie, right?
Yeah.
If it's either going to be CG expensive or like they're going to build them, it's going to be costly.
Yeah. Costly indeed.
Going back to the influence, the idea of taking influence from video games, especially COD, but other shooters as well. But the old COD, the older like the Modern Warfare and Black Ops games, they did a fantastic job in contrasting in having each character have a unique design but still look like a military unit. Look here.
Yeah.
Each one of those Rangers, and especially the Spec Ops guys, the British Special Forces, each one of them has a different like outfit, a different style of uniform. You can see them separate, especially Task Force 141. Not so much the Rangers, but like especially 141. You can realize each one of them is this distinct character with a distinct design, a unique design, but they still feel like military, right? They still feel like something a military would technically use. So I think that balance, and still they do have advanced tech, but not too advanced.
Yeah.
So they could have that as well, have something on that style.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have used that. Yeah, they should have done exactly what the video games have done. Yeah, they should have gone with these, from the 80s that we all know, and not go too advanced with nanotech and stuff. That's what you would see in the modern era.
Yeah, it was the 2010s. Nanotech was all the rage back then, I think. Nano machines, son.
Yeah, it was Nano.
Yeah. Yeah, Nano seems to have taken so much of the fun out of vehicles too, especially out of Iron Man and a lot more.
God, I hate what the MCU did to costumes. It's just so they won't have to hire a costume designer. You know that, right? But that's not a story.
Yeah, like what you said, like they could have been multinational, right? So it could have been like a backstory of like how NATO's ineffective, so a new organization formed.
I was thinking of like a black option back, the best from each NATO country.
Yeah.
So that they can do the stuff that NATO can't acknowledge. Kind of like what the movie did, but the movie kind of screwed that up by not exploring it more. Actually, I think making it a TV series would be more interesting.
Because I think it would be.
Yes, but with a budget, with a good budget, a decent budget.
That's where like you could complement the budget restraints with keeping the gear and the uniforms simple, right? You could say
Yeah.
because they're kind of like unofficial things that they have to not make the spending
Too much.
too much where it's going to draw attention. So these guys are some of the best, but they don't always get the best, which even the regular military doesn't get the best. So they almost get the hand-me-downs of the military. So I think that could actually work.
Yeah.
And here's Heavy Duty, who I'm sure we all know from other movies like Thor: The Dark World and Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
The actor,
One thing I like about G.I. Joe that it kind of, I don't know if it would work too well on a TV setting, but I think could work at least spiritually. Is the idea of grabbing each of the characters, quote unquote. Like the backstory of G.I. Joe, the comic, it actually lots of it traces back to an incident that happens during the story in Vietnam. So they could have something like that, like an incident that happened in Afghanistan or like a modern war, or even Vietnam if they do 80s. And have it be an inciting incident to all those events, but you don't know what happened. Like they could mention, like, J. Joe's and Cobra both were founded after the incident in Afghanistan. Give Afghanistan to presuming near future, right? Because I think near future will be interesting as well.
Yeah, totally interesting.
Especially if you're doing a TV show, which would save expenses doing a more grounded modern day setting, right? 80s would cost too much. Don't you guys agree? Let's presume it's a TV show. Because I think TV sorry, continue.
Yeah, if you did, 80s styles, as great as it would be to look, you have a lot with visual effects, set design, the visual effects set extensions. All the work they put into movies like, Coen Brothers like to do a lot of movies based in the 80s, right? And like No Country for Old Men, and people don't realize like how much visual effects goes into basically remodeling a city to make it look like it did in 1984 or whatever, and that's not cheap.
Yeah.
That's not cheap at all, and that's why you don't really see a lot of TV shows do work like that.
Yeah. I wish there were more, but it's hard. I agree.
Yeah, totally hard.
Anyway, my pitch, right? So let's can I pitch a general plot line, because I actually have this in my head for some time.
Sure, go ahead.
So the idea of Cobra, I think, should be more of a conspiracy. Like they are a single like organization, like in the comics, an army, like most comics do. But take more clarity, they are more like a conspiracy, an enabler for terrorist organizations. They can make different terrorist organizations. They're all like being manipulated in foreign powers, in rogue states. They're all being financed or supported by Cobra, right? Yeah. And then I would say near future, so we can have like a second Cold War, but we're pretty much in a second Cold War already starting, so I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. So so we can have like the rival powers like October Guard, or a modern equivalent of the October Guard that's led by the Russians and Chinese. And theoretically, they would be like the friendly rival that October Guard was in the original, because I think there should be like a not exactly a Cold War, but a two rival powers fighting, and Cobra in the middle, like the third enemy. Mostly because I think that sharpens the dynamic a little bit. So like when you see one of those other guys, like the October War equivalent, we are like, oh, are we going to fight them or are we going to team up with them this time? So we can have like this wild card faction.
And speaking of conspiracy, Dennis, you guys are familiar with the Cobra member called Firefly, right?
I somewhat.
Yeah, I know much, but
I don't know a lot.
He's a pyromaniac, and he was also played by the late actor Ray Stevenson, who died last year.
Oh yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah. Yep. He in the second G.I. Joe movie, he was the villain who killed many of the Joes in the first half, and helped Zartan carry out his plan of incriminating them while looking to help them with their plans for world domination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, something else about the show, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was thinking, so about the idea, my pitch, all right? I think we can all do a pitch. I think that would be an interesting idea. Come up with a story and see who does best. I think we'll do competition.
Yep.
But like having the faction, like the having the Joes be founded after an incident during the War on Terror that is never specified that Joe Colton and Hawk both served with in Snake Eyes. Not Duke. Duke should be a relatively fresh military career. Like he's a sergeant major, or maybe if you want to promote him to an officer to make more, give him more leadership roles, make him more realistic, make him an officer like a captain. But I don't think he should be like a veteran of the previous war. So he has military experience, but like black operations, because I don't want him to be too much, not too many of them being that operation. So like we have some Joes on that operation, have Cobra, some Cobra guys being on that, especially the Cobra Commander. I think the Cobra Commander should have been one of the guy who served with Joe members in the past. In some, because the idea is that he's like my pitch that Cobra Commander is an evil hawk in the sense of backstory. Both have similar ruthlessness and similar backgrounds on a semi-failed operation, but they both have but one uses this motivation and ruthlessness for good, or for evil. So yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. I think.
Yeah, and there are other Joes who kind of rival some of Cobra's members, like Barbecue. You know,
Mm.
yeah, Barbecue is
I
a
heard of
member.
him.
Yeah,
He's the
I've seen him.
flamethrower. He's kind of firefighter, right? He
Yeah,
looks like a firefighter at least. Oh, anyway.
yep, yeah, yeah, and he, yeah, and I've learned about this character from one of the animated shows called GI Joe Renegades. He was
Oh,
voiced by Charlie O'Connell or one of the Jerry O'Connell. Yeah, Jerry voiced this character in Renegades, where he helped them take down Firefly and stopped him from blowing up a dam.
interesting. Anyway, so the whole angle is that they slow at first. We know that Cobra is behind. I think that's something that we should do, because the fans would complain if we don't put Cobra from the start. But like having Cobra be on the background for many episodes, like we know Cobra is behind it, they have hints, but the Joes don't know that the Cobras are behind it. So they slowly start puzzling, and as we puzzle it, we get flashbacks and start finding out what happened in the failed op, that led to the origin of Cobra and the Joes. So that would be an interesting, or a spy plot, my spy thriller plot.
Uh huh. Yeah,
What do you guys think?
could be. Yeah, it could be. What about you, Kneepayne?
I didn't really think about it before this, but I was just kind of playing around in my mind what I take I'd probably approach is they could all start like said the war on terror, except they aren't U.S. military. So a lot of U.S. military, actually a lot of military in general, when the guys get out, they have a hard time finding jobs. So a lot of them end up going in back as contractors. They work for basically these quote contracting companies, which is more or less mercenaries. And there's been a lot of controversy around the use of these organizations over the years, and they are paid by the government. Governments do pay them, and so like a story I was going through my head is, what if they all started? That way, you get like a mix of different people from different branches, even different countries. They're contractors, some various levels of military experience, and then they find out basically this contracting company. The name, part of the name, basically the contracting company is Cobra. and they're basically tied in with the governments. They're being funded, but the governments don't realize that these contracting company is actually has an agenda, because these contracting companies, they made billions of dollars off the governments, right? They're very well funded. So you get these contractors kind of realize there's some effed up stuff going on.
Oh,
They rebel against. They basically, the GI Joes form as rebels against the contractors. So they're underfunded. They're against the big guy. They realize there's something going on. There's sections of the government that do realize. The governments realize, like maybe the CIA, like, hey, there's something going on, right? This big organization's evil. We don't have evidence, but we know there's a small group of basically rebel fighters, and they kind of do like we did with the Taliban, back in the late 80s and 70s, is they kind of
actually just point out
they kind of treat them like that. They help them get some weapons, some gear, but they don't have the best gear. We already talked about that would be a good angle. They don't have the best gear. So and the trade-off is the GI Joes kind of, at least like the outside public, seem like the terrorists. Because they broke away when they're controlling the news and media. Cobra, they're the contracting company, and it's up to this little ragtag group of rebels that realized that they were working for the bad guy. They got to stop their operations, whatever the sinister part of the operation is, and how do they do that, and the challenges that they would face with something like that.
That's interesting.
And so, because otherwise it's just starting like it's because I think like the GI Joes, like everyone looking in saying, "Oh, the GI Joes are the heroes." What if the GI Joes were the heroes, but it wasn't obvious they were heroes, and the Cobra was paying themselves to actually be the good guys when they weren't. So I was trying to different ways to twist the story to.
It is actually a thing, where the Cobra tries to pull that kind of shenanigans off, even in the original animated series and the second G.I. Joe movie, as well as G.I. Joe Renegades, where they
continue.
And it kind of fits into realities a little bit. Like some of these contracting companies have a shady background with money laundering and like abuse of power overseas, so it kind of plays in some of the actual things that have happened.
Especially the big ones, or the ones that are front for government, like the Blackwater's Roy Banner groups.
Yeah, the triple canopy, and a lot of them that broke off.
Most of them I heard are basically bodyguards with a heavy gear, but lots of them also have shady background. So we could have something like that, especially Wagner Group hasn't been so much on the news recently. They could have go from also an inspiration from that as well, because they were a private military contractor who had a government contract but had a background on their own agenda of overthrowing the Russian government eventually. So it could be interesting.
Yeah, really interesting, guys. Yeah, and governments are very much likely where organizations like Cobra would be heavily funded by, and not just make things off of arms dealing by themselves. And now we come to Destro, who we all know is portrayed by Scottish actor Christopher Eccleston, from who we all know was most famous for playing one of the Doctor Who's from Doctor Who.
Oh, I didn't know that. Don't watch Doctor Who. Interesting Torchwood.
Yeah,
I'm interested on Torchwood, but not Doctor Who.
Yeah, this was the first time I ever learned about the actor himself. Yeah.
I think actually his character, his take on Destro was actually the best part of the original J.J. movies. Especially the plan. I actually think that his plan was well written comparatively with the rest of the movie,
Yeah.
The whole thing of I like actually, because there's lots of foreshadowing. Like when he talks about they're gonna rally around the most powerful man in the world to lead them, and we think it's him, but it's actually the president he plans to kidnap.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if part of that came from the actor themselves. So seasoned actors like him are known for pushing back on directors and scripts that don't make sense. And so I wonder if there was any kind of pushback where like he kind of helped guide it in a direction. Because it's like For as much as much of those movies that was a complete disaster with story, like that part actually, yeah, that was like, okay, this actually can kind of make sense. It seems like it was put together well. And it's like, was there like a different group of writers that wrote this part, and there's another
Yeah,
group of writers?
I think I have this theory that I always say if you had any doubt, you can presume that the execs are behind the bad parts and the directors behind the good parts. The actors and writers are behind the good parts. Because I don't think Steven Summers is a bad director. He made the money, for God's sake.
Well, the thing is, though, no, I mean, you can be a good director. Think about the film industry, though. Not many directors are truly in power.
Exactly. So I
Right.
think that the executives have lots of bullshit.
A lot of producers were driving it. Yeah, there's very few directors truly. When you see a movie that it was directed and produced by, like Christopher Nolan, it's like, okay, that's a director that was actually in power. Most of the time, they don't have the power. they have.
You!
Uh-huh.
Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you there, guys. Yeah, Deathstroke. He was quite something. But the real thing, the big thing about the movie was how awkward it was to try to make making Baroness Duke's love interest, which is quite crazy, as well
Yeah,
as
because she's generally Destro's love interest.
Yep,
It's kind of her whole thing,
yeah,
that they're the only people the other truly care. Actually, Destro in the original was actually quite a benevolent leader in terms of his own man, in spite of being for the money only and being funding of very many terrorist organizations. She actually hit the men who worked for him, cared about, but mostly he and Baroness have this whole unholy matrimony thing.
uh-huh. Yeah, I could tell. Yeah, they were yeah, that too. Oh, man, it was kind of crazy. Crazy of what they did in the first one. Very crazy. And as for Cobra Commander, I mean, my gosh, did they really have to go that far, making the two iconic Cobras so close with the main character? It was quite nuts too.
I actually like the idea of, I don't think Duke, but I like the idea of the Cobra Commander having like ties with a main character. I just think it should be Hawk, because Hawk is in charge of the Joe, so that it makes sense to have. I actually think Hawk should be the central character, actually,
Yeah, that's a good point.
to some extent. Like Duke is kind of the audience POV. That was a good idea. Duke, he just arrived to be number 2 of the unit or field commander. I don't know, but like, so Hawk, he's our like protagonist. In fact, Duke's the POV. Hawk's the main character. Is the leader, leader figure, the actual leader of the unit, the actual hero.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because I kind of seen and heard a commercial from one of the shows about featuring Cobra Commander claiming that they captured GI Joe's leader. You know, General
General
Hawk.
Hawk. Yeah, actually, the original was General Flag, but he died early in the run, I think.
Uh huh. There are also more characters that could have also been excellent additions to the movie.
I
You
just
know,
know. I know one. What's his name? The spy guy. I forgot his name now. Let me just look it up quickly.
sure.
You know the one I'm talking about, all right?
And I'm sure it's not Zartan, right?
No,
I can't.
forgot
Yeah.
his name. God
So did
damn
I.
it!
Well,
You
anyway.
know who I'm talking about? Like he's like the unit spy. Chuckles.
What?
He'll make for an interesting character. Chuckles.
Churkos?
He's like this spy. Like he started as Sonny Crockett, but then eventually became a Jack Bauer like figure. He's like the one that goes undercover, goes intelligence gathering. He's the
Oh,
CIA type character.
oh, well, it's kind of hard for me to identify. You
He's the
know,
blonde guy. Look, Chuckles.
Luke. Okay.
Chuckles, John. Chuckles, not Luke. Chuckles.
Well, you think you can put up another thing on here? You know, kind of like you did with the Black Ops thing, because I can't seem to understand much from my end. Oh, oh, thanks. Chuckles.
Yeah.
Okay, let's check this out. Okay. Ah, here we are. Hang on. Wow, this stuff. Yeah, Chuckles like this.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow, very interesting. Yeah. How often? Yeah. CIA, huh?
He's actually military intelligence in the story in the book comics, but I think making him CIA would be more interesting because he's a spy and also.
Good point. He does have the suitcase, and I can see some of the special ops units on the right over here.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Wow. Thank thank you for that. But there's also another. Now we can turn our attention to this guy, Baron Blood. You
And
familiar?
I am aware of him. He is the Australian like mercenary who is there mostly for the cash and doesn't actually care about Cobra scouts.
Yeah, he was affiliated with Cobra. Yeah,
Weirdly
Australian.
enough, in some versions.
Well, Renegades featured that kind of Baron Blood, helping to stop, where he was helping to stop the Joes from, you know, exposing Cobra. And later on, when he crossed paths with Heavy Duty and Roadblock, he ended up getting his arm chewed off by a crocodile in Louisiana.
I didn't know the last part.
Oh, Louisiana. You know, the place where you would find.
I know, I
I,
know, I know. I don't know the part. I don't watch the Renegades. I just read the comics. And watch the 2007, I think, cartoon where they make like the one where Cobra Commander destroys Moscow.
oh,
You know the one, right? Resolute, I think is the name.
oh, Resolute.
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
Resolute. I think that should be another influence. Sort of. I like Duke's design a lot. Actually, I think that's a great one. And the characterization of the Cobra Commander is really close. I just think he's too card carrying villain on that one. But I do like the rest of the character, like how he has his like he doesn't scream a lot. He screams a lot, but he does only screams when he's like most of the time he's speaking very composed, and then he loses composed, realizes, oh fuck, this guy's pissed, you know.
yeah. Yeah. Wasn't that a. Speaking of Resolute, what was the certification rating for that show? Oh, wait, hang on.
And
I think I might. Oh, TV 14. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I. Yeah, it was TV
mhm.
14. Yeah, Baron Blood was said to have been was mentioned to have been a traitor to the Cobra, somewhere like that.
Yeah, he was executed by Cobra Commander in front of his entire army, and then in front of his high command. He ripped his heart off and then left that heart. He left his body on the Lincoln Memorial.
Wow, that's quite cruel.
Yeah, so like to send a message to everyone that sides with which everyone's sympathetic to Cobra or even his enemies that he's not fucking around anymore.
Wow,
Yeah.
and sp- you also mentioned Moscow being blown up by Cobra in the Resolute, right?
Yes, he destroys it. Yes. By the way, let me just make sure of it.
Sure.
No, it's not what I think. Maybe, or I'm kind of getting confused. Maybe. 1 second.
Hmm.
Oh no, I got mistaken. Sorry. Forget it. I was going to say that no, but he did voice Scott Mitchell and some other characters. Steve Blum voices Duke. He famously voiced Scott Mitchell's in Ghost Recon, which is another game who is close enough to J. Joe. It shouldn't be because they're Green Berets, not Tier 1, but still. And he voiced Tank Dempsey, who's a very, very Duke character.
Mm.
Kind of Chum Duke, but
More Duke than what we got out of the movies, correct?
Tank Dempsey? Oh,
Well,
definitely. He's kind of a Duke stereotype. Steve Blum's character, Tank Dempsey. He is basically think of Duke if he enjoyed the whole fighting thing a little bit too much.
huh? Yeah.
Uh, he's more like yeah, Tank Dempsey. He's the Marine from COD Zombies.
Wow. Yeah. Quite impressive. Very impressive.
Mhm.
Oh, and there's other characters also in Retaliation. We know we got The Rock as Roadblock, but yeah, how did
Too
he
much
get
the
the?
same role. Yeah, I don't get it. I think he can be a good actor if he's good material. He can he tries in many cases, but the end he ends up falling back to the safe spot. He's one of those actors who plays too safe with his roles. At least
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Yeah, Rock was the main character for the sequel
Ah,
but in Retaliation.
true.
He, yeah, he played Roadblock, and by his side he had Adriana Palacki as Lady J. One of the other members of the Joes.
Mhm.
Inclu- And you also got Flint, you know, who was played by the same actor who played one of the superheroes from the Shazam movies.
I don't know, Nathan. I don't watch like Shazam. I think it's cringe. Especially
He,
since in Sargent supposed to have the wisdom of Solomon, but why he acts as a man child in those movies? Oh fuck, it's a target audience. I forgot.
yeah, that's a good one. Anyway, yeah, Retaliation. Yeah, G, yeah. I even heard that GI Joe Retaliation that one of the one of the people that were working on the set just died in 2011 while filming this movie. You know, and they had to have delayed it for some reason afterwards too.
Mhm.
Wow. And as for Storm Shadow, it was quite impressive that they would bring him back from his demise from the first one. Yeah, Retaliation is also part two of the of his of his of his backstory as well as that of Snake Eyes, including the drama between the two and the Hardmaster. Well, also we we even get others like are you familiar with the character called Jinx?
Mhm.
Yeah, she was played by Elodie Young in the movie, and
Not.
Well, in case you're wondering, Geek Defense Initiative, this actress is also the same one who played Elektra from the Daredevil Netflix shows. You
Hmm.
know, Elodie
Hmm.
Young. She was born in France. She was, well, she's part Filipina, and she played Jinx in the second movie, where they go off into the mountains to get to get her cousin, the Storm Shadow, while fighting against Cobra affiliated ninjas on the mountains.
Hmm.
Oh, I vaguely remember this. I
I
think that's the
remember.
thing is a lot. I know I saw these movies a couple times each. My biggest thing is like so many of them are just forgettable. Like,
Yeah, and they seem to rush through the scenes of each movie so
yeah, like
quickly.
I completely forget they even were in these movies. It's like that's man.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Shouldn't be
Yeah.
like that.
Nope. Yeah. Yeah. They should have just taken their time, moved slowly on the introductions and stuff. Not just not just be quick about it and get things over with, like we've seen in both.
Yeah, well, it feels like they just tried cramming Joe characters here and there. I've been like, look, it's GI Joe. See all the characters. We're trying to include that you might remember instead
Uh-huh.
of just doing a good job making the ones they. You don't have to put a bunch of them, and just the ones you include, make them memorable. Should actually have an impact to some extent
Exactly,
on the
but
film.
that's why I think they should make a TV show because at
Yeah,
the end, kind of like you get what I'm saying, right? There's too much lore, too much character to put in a single movie for J.
yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, you make a good point there,
So
Geek
because
Defense
it
Initiative.
has had such a long run in the comics in so many versions that I think making it a TV show would be much more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been a case in live action instead of just
Mhm.
cramming it so much of it into a single movie, because that's pretty much part of the reason why these first two live action GI Joe films didn't do so well at the box office, if you ask me.
I mean, if you think about like first couple Transformers movies, not that they're good movies, but they didn't. They only included a handful of Transformers. If you think about like the whole, all the Transformers that were in like the comic books and cartoons, they didn't try to jam them all in the the first couple of movies. So
Nope.
there's a little more memorable.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, the first two were more memorable. Well, as
And
we,
then they got really bad for a while after that.
yeah, yeah, marketing wise, story wise, you name it, including the with the tone.
Yeah, but at least that like when it started out, they just had like a few of the recognizable ones. That's who they focused on. Obviously, cost was a big reason for that. But yeah, man, some of these as you're going through, it's like, oh my god, I forgot these characters were in this movie.
Uh huh. Yeah, GI Joe. Yeah, and speaking of movies, I don't know and if that were the case, I don't know if GI Joe was ever meant to be done in live action movies, but more like a live action TV show. If you if you know what I'm talking about.
Well,
I
I mean,
think it could work in live action. Sorry, continue.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I mean, it could. You just have to like not the way they did it. I mean, we're talking about like GI Joe was a cartoon and comic that had many issues and many episodes to build out these characters, and then
Yeah.
when they do that with any kind of show that had lots of episodes and comics, and then you're just like, okay, so we're gonna just slop out a couple movies and try to build the same characters. It just doesn't always work. It's not impossible,
Nope.
but I think they get overzealous. They bite off more
Yeah,
than they can handle.
Yeah, they oversold a lot, from what I could see. Also, 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 what do you guys think about Roadblock's confrontation with Firefly in the movie? You know, where they fought off in the final battle
I don't
in a
even.
race.
I barely remember that, to be honest. I will have to look
Yeah,
that up.
Yeah,
Sorry, I remember that Cobra Commander flees in the end. I remember the destroyer London never mentioned it again. I remember a surprising lot of the movies, but I remember as well that Cobra Commander flees on a helicopter and they don't think of shooting it down on a jet or something. I do remember.
I'm watching the video right now. Go ahead.
I remember that Storm Shadow killed Zartan because Zartan killed his father and framed him for reasons. They never explained that part. I think because they want to indoctrinate him to Cobra, but Cobra didn't exist yet, as far as I know. So there's that.
hmm yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
God, there was a plot twist. I never realized a plot hole. I never realized it.
yeah, yeah. There's plenty of plot holes in the film. Yeah. hmm Yes, Zartan in the movie is the one who framed Storm Shadow and killed the Hardmaster.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They had to. Yeah, and check out the nanotech on him in this disguise as the president. I mean,
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I remember that.
yeah, they injected nanobots into Zartan in the first film in order to carry out their plan in the second film.
Mhm.
Yeah, Project Zeus was their end goal in the was Cobra's end game in the second film. Let me bring that up. Project Zeus, you know, having everything to do with nuclear weapons and stuff, where you would launch them from satellites, which is quite scary and dangerous too. I mean, in the movie they had them drop a nuclear bomb on London, and they blew up the whole damn city in a 50
Actually,
mile.
not nuclear bomb, but a rod from God, which is a whole other thing that many people say that doesn't actually work that way.
Yeah,
Uh, it-
earthquake bomb.
no, the
Yeah.
idea is that you fire a giant rod from space because you can't throw nukes from space, you know. And so the idea is that they make a giant missile from space, throw from orbit, and it destroys the thing. But then there's the question of Cobra is a terrorist organization. Why the fuck would they obey the Geneva laws of war? And second, why would you create a weapon you can only use once? Because then they are going to redo the whole thing. You know? So yeah, there's
hmm
that.
Yeah, that too. And boy, did they. Yeah. Was there any. Yeah, they literally blew up a whole city with that gravity bomb. From, and it really scared a lot. I'm kind of lost for words, gentlemen, but shall. But also, there's another thing to look at while we're on the GI Joe subject, and that would be the Snake Eyes movie. You know that
I
this.
never watched that. I know I didn't hear anything good about this. I never bothered watching.
Yeah, I heard they've done terrible. They've done a lot of things in this movie that made it so unlikable. It stars Henry Golding, if you all know, was co-starred with Henry Cavill in the Ministry of
Hmm.
Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Well, I like that movie.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah, yeah, they really messed up. Yeah, if I recall, They really messed up this character. You know, in his own movie. As I've heard.
Yeah, it's usually not very. That's a one of those sins you don't come back from.
Nope, not at all. Yeah, yeah, not at all. It also, yeah. Also, are you guys familiar with a character called the Blind Master?
Yes.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, he appeared in. First time I learned about this guy is that he appeared in GI Joe Retaliation as one of Snake Eyes' mentors and instructors while they were training Jinx. And in the Snake Eyes movie, he was played by Peter Menshaw, who I'm sure some of you would know him best from, like, the Incredible Hulk as one of the military officers, and he even voiced the character called Predaking from Transformers Prime, as I recall.
Oh, I think I always remember him from like oh, that's right, he was in 300.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, the guy who got kicked down the shaft.
Wow.
oh, it was in.
Oh, we got another guest. Welcome. Hello, Breaking Ray Gun. Can you hear me, Breaking Ray Gun?
Guys, I need to go soon, so
Yeah, I'll need to head out.
I have
Got
class
dinner.
tomorrow. Yeah, I have
Okay.
class tomorrow. I'll leave you guys to yourselves then. Bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Nice
Bye.
talk.
Thank you.
I'm gonna head out here in a second
care.
as well. See
Hey
when
there.
Breaky gets on.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Breaking Ray Gun?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you too. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, no worries. It said at first that I had to be approved, I think, from the host to speak, so that's why I didn't say anything earlier.
No problem at all. Glad you could join us. Anyway,
Okay.
we were discussing the character called Blind Master, who is from the G.I.
Yeah.
Joe films that trained Snake Eyes.
Yeah, I wrote in the chat that guy was also in Spartacus.
Wow.
He was
Yeah.
like the trainer. He's like the trainer with the whip, and then he like joined the rebellion in that show.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that was a good
Uh-huh.
show. Oh yeah, because
Yep.
he's got a good presence. I always like this guy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which,
I
I
think
gotta
he
get-
passed away.
yeah.
Oh.
Who passed away?
I think
No.
the guy that was talking about. I think that guy passed away.
No, I think no, he's still alive. I think you're thinking of the guy from John Wick. The
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Lance Reddick.
He
Yeah.
is. I mean, he's 65. Looks great for 65. Jeez, oh Pete.
Yeah.
He was cut.
Anyway, Breaking Ray Gun, how familiar are you with G.I. Joe?
What was that? You broke up.
Oh, how familiar are you with the G.I. Joe brand?
I mean, yeah, I loved it as a kid, and I mean, watched the shows and had like all the action figures. I kind of laughed when you guys were talking about the movies because I'm with you. Like, I don't remember very much of them. I think I remember the first one actually more than the second one.
Yeah.
Because I remember the second one was just so ridiculous. Like the most I remember is they killed off Duke in the beginning. And I just thought it was just like the worst decision ever. Like you can't get rid of him like that, especially not in the beginning. And then they kind of like brushed it off like it was nothing. They were like, I mean, it was kind of obvious that it was some kind of scheduling conflicts or they just didn't want to pay Tatum. And it's just just don't put him in the movie. Just say like, yeah, he's like away on some other mission or something, or whatever. If you don't like him, or if he can't do the role, like don't just kill him off. It was like the same thing with Kingsman 2 when they killed off Lancelot in like the beginning as well, and the main character kind of just brushes it off. And I'm like, you trained with her for like the whole movie, and then you did like this crazy mission with her, and then like formed this bond, and then like she just dies. You're like, oh crap, man, she was cool.
Because if I remember right, like he was supposed to be killed. Like they all jump in the well. They came out and like, oh, he's dead. But we didn't. I don't recall we saw a body. And I think it would have it'd been a little more like if they had the body, so they could actually like collapsed her arm, cried, buried him, left the body. But so you actually saw the body because I just didn't buy into it at all. It's like, I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. I didn't even know he was dead at first. They just said, "Oh yeah, he's dead," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, where's the body?
Yeah,
how do we not know he was taken hostage? Right, we didn't see anything.
Yeah, it's the same mistake that the original Transformers, the movie in '86, made. Having killed off their flagship character up to this prime, just to make room for toys in their new lineup and stuff. Yeah, killing off a flagship character can be a core mistake in a movie, guys. It's I bet that's part of the reason why.
You could have had, like you said, like it wasn't just so brushed off and forgotten about. Like they find his body, they bury him, they say something like, "We'll be back for you," and like the end of the movie, one of the last scenes you see is them returning to retrieve the body. Like, we don't leave a man behind, right? You bring it full circle. Because otherwise, you get to the end of the movie and you completely forgot, like, oh, that dude died. Like, when you see it in the credits here, it's like, oh, yeah, Channing was in this movie. I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
And they should have had, like, a retrieval going back to get him. And, like, yeah, we're here for you, brother, right? And they're like, oh, that'd have been a nice nice touch. And, of course, they didn't do that. So
nope, sadly, they did not. And it's a pity we never get to see that official third film that was being planned after this one because of what they did that made it pretty much a disaster in the making with the script and stuff. I mean, we were going to also get more members of Cobra, like Tomax and Zamet, the twins, the psychic twins who work for Cobra.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I'm also a twin too, guys. Don't get me wrong. Twin Cobra members who are known for being psychics, if I can recall. Well,
I gotta watch that 1986. Was it 86? The animated GI Joe movie when they go to this weird like Cobra base where there's like hell on earth, like you got like living plants and stuff. I think it was
either that or I think it was 1987, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it could be 87. G.I. Joe the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
That movie was definitely way better than both of those.
And better than Snake Eyes, I can tell you that.
I didn't even watch it. I just gave up. After the second one, I just gave up.
Yeah, I didn't even bother watching the Snake Eyes spinoff either. Because I kind of found it really ridiculous in how they handled the characters in the story. First they messed up the first one by making Cobra Commander and Baroness too closely affiliated with Duke in their previous normal lives before turning evil, and with Baroness having this love triangle between her, Duke, and Destro, which I kind of find was quite crazy, if you ask me. And the second one, they kind of went overboard and kind of messed it up with the story and stuff. With how they organized the plant, with how they handled. I don't know. I'm kind of lost for words. Don't get me wrong.
Me too. They didn't. I don't remember anything that happens in the second one other than Duke dying. Like I remember watching the whole movie and I don't even know how. Like at least the first one, I know how it ends. Like I think they impersonate the president and it kind of ends. I don't even know what happens at the end of the second one. It's just kind of ends and The Rock was in it. I don't remember any of his lines.
Oh.
And they put Rock as heavy duty, and it's not how heavy duty looks neither.
He was actually Roadblock breaking rig.
Oh, sorry, Roadblock, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember the end of Retaliation now. I almost vomited. Wasn't it because they're all in uniform and they're getting their medals? And they weren't wearing G.I. Joe uniforms. They were wearing bastardized U.S. military uniforms because the woman, she had on a Marine Corps, because I was in the Marine Corps. So she had on this Marine Corps, the vest, but all the emblems are way off. And just everything was like, oh my God. One, they weren't Marines. They weren't U.S. military, so don't do it like that. Like, have their own uniform. But I don't know. It was just like that. I remember. I was like, okay, fuck this movie. I'm never watching it again.
Yeah.
This is awful. Because I remember she was like, "Thanks, Dad," or whatever, and they was like, exposed that was her dad, Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
Was in the movie. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He actually was
Yeah.
okay. He was okay, his role, but I don't know. That
Yeah. Roadblock had kids, as I recall.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I'm looking at it now. She had on the Marine Corps vest, like the Marine Corps emblems,
Yeah.
but she had on like an army beret. Like it was just awful. Like I think there were some other guys in the theater just like, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
nitpicking, but it was awful. It was awful.
Yeah. So they messed up the uniforms too.
Mix and match.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. I got going. I got dinner with the family. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming, Kneepayne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take care. I'll see you around.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Right.
Yeah, I'm out of here too. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Gonna play
Thank
some
you, guys.
mythology.
Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, this is Giratana, right?
Garatina, Sergeant Garatina.
Sergeant Giratina. Yeah, nice to talk to you, man. I'll talk
Same
to you
here.
in the Discord chats and then the YouTube live.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, man. Later.
Later. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button below the video, and be sure to come check out. Well, and be sure to come and check and join and come hang out with me on the Discord right here. Well, guys, it was a great night. Be sure to tune in for more. Oh, hang on, guys. That's the wrong one. Hang on. Well, never mind. Take care now, guys. See you soon. Well, take care now, guys. Garatina's Rising Renegades is taking off. Bye-bye.